Welcome to the Roots and Rhythm podcast, where we explore the essence of culture, our experiences, and a healing journey that shapes our growth in family. Through heartfelt stories about marriage, mental health, relationships, and parenting, we create a space where you can find connection, understanding, and inspiration. Join us as we explore the rhythms of life, one story at a time.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Vlad the Bull, your number one embrace coach, and this is my co-host.
I have a long intro. I'm just Angie, la cyber.
Cyber Mom, that's it. That's all you need.
But you're like the embrace coach, the bull, the father, the police.
That's just the brand. You know, I gotta show up. Listen, it's gonna come together. All right. Listen, we'll do it like this. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Vlad, and welcome to another episode of Roots and Rhythm. I am your boy, Vlad the Bull, and this is
Angie, la cyber.
Come on now. See, did you like that?
I did.
Okay.
It flowed way better. The author, the father, the husband.
Father. Wait.
I'm from Cambridge.
Oh, wait, time out. Oh, I even shout out Cambridge. Shout out to Cambridge, my hometown. You know what I mean? I love Cambridge, man. I'm actually going to speak there in June.
So excited for you, Vlad.
Thank you. Listen, man, Cambridge has been good to me. One of the things I've really been grateful for Cambridge for doing is giving me the ability and the opportunity to think freely. I can't think of a place that was as progressive and ahead of its time any more than Cambridge. Obviously, I was born and raised in Cambridge. I've been to California, different places. But Cambridge was phenomenal. For me and my brother, when growing up there, we had access to some of the best youth programs, the best education. Dude, we had teachers that, I remember when we went to the King Open School, we had teachers that we used to have to call by their first name, which I thought was strange. It was like the strangest
They're your friends.
That's the type of
That's
stuff.
a peer.
Right. That's for, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I love Cambridge, man. I'm excited to go back.
Yeah. Oh, I'm from Florida. That's all y'all need to know about that. So I have nothing to add.
No, you have something to add. What about Florida? What was it like growing up there for you?
Not like Cambridge, but I do listen. So I grew up in Belgrade, Florida. Love it. Would I live there now? Absolutely not. But I think the people is what make it like close knit. So it's like when you're from there, like you just know. You pretty much know everybody.
Oh, you can't gloss over that. You said, was it Bellevue? Was it where you from?
Belglade.
Belglade.
The Muck.
The Muck? That's what it's called? Why they call it the Muck?
Because that's what the ground is called. So it's an agricultural town. So everything grows there.
So your ground is a Pokemon? Is that what it is? Muck.
See, that's what someone from Cambridge would say.
Man, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. Okay, you from the Muck. You know what? Like Cyber Mama, you should drop an album and your ad-lib should be like, I came from the Muck.
My goodness.
Yo. All right, listen. This is going to be a great episode today, one dear to the heart, because we are talking about siblings and the impact that siblings have.
It's because my sister's here.
Shout out.
Ooh, she ain't coming on camera because she's tired. But she's here. I could literally see her. She's over there.
Say what's up, Emmy, Emmy, just give the people a shout out from all the way over there. Okay, Emmy's in the building. Yo. Yeah, listen. So we have to leave with this because this is probably the best part of this conversation is why don't you tell the good folks listening to this podcast how many siblings you have?
Too many, but the ones that I talk about all the time, there's 6 of us. We have the same mom and dad. There's 4 girls, 2 boys. And if you know me, I already talk about them and you know them. Because if I know you and you know me, you know my siblings. If you don't know my siblings, it's because I haven't opened up to you, and that should tell you something. Because I talk about them literally all the time.
Listen, man, I think it's I'll never know what it's like because I grew up with one sibling, but I also grew up with 2 of my cousins, and I call them my siblings because we all grew up together in the same house. And that's not an opportunity. That's not something that you hear typically from with a lot of people. So yeah, growing up in the same house definitely made it so that we could have a sibling type relationship. And so we have that closeness when we get together and we have dinner. We try to do it once a year. It's been rough in the last couple of years. So last time we actually had a proper sibling dinner was in 2023. We went to the spot in Lynn called Stephanie's. They make the best. Hey, listen, this is what my mom looks at. So why you gonna take my baby? I'm like,
it took me a minute because it's like our boys, they don't really talk to people like that all the time. Not because they don't care, it's just because they're guys.
Wait, is that a thing?
I think so.
I want to learn a bit more about that because my wife deals with that a little bit, and I've heard it. Like sons don't necessarily communicate with the moms. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Well, no, I won't say with the moms, because one of my brothers talks to my mom probably every day, but that's her Google baby. So I think it just depends order and like the individual relationships. In the grand scheme of things, what I've seen, boys in general aren't gonna like call you every day and check in. That's not like a normal thing or what is normal, but not necessarily. And even with Wallace doesn't call. I call his mom every day so she could talk to the girls, but Wallace ain't. And it's not, it's not like a malicious thing. It's just like he's like, oh yeah, I gotta call my mom.
I mean, it makes me feel better because I am the king of not calling people back or like not answering text messages until last possible second. That might be an ADHD thing, but yeah, I didn't know that was you. So that's your experience.
That's my experience with brothers, my husband, the other men in my life in general. Like they're not out here checking for you every day, and it's fine. You know that it's not kind of like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and not call the people I love. It's just they don't think about it.
I think I think it is for men. I think men are very task oriented. So when we reach out to you, it's because we either want to hear from you or there's a very specific reason why I'm reaching out to you. Yo, Angie, yo, can you tell mom to get off my back? Tell mom to chill out. My brother and I actually navigated that relationship as adults. And a lot of the time he's reaching out to me and my brother don't reach out to people.
Yeah.
Okay. You met my brother, right? My brother's not the type of dude to go hug you and do all that unless he really likes. So the fact that I get calls from him, I appreciate it because I'm thinking about him all the time, but I might not necessarily reach out. But that's the thing about siblings that's great is that no matter how much time has passed, once you're together, it's all love.
And I think the six of us are pretty obsessed with each other in general to the point where Wallace was like, I can't be in the group chat with y'all. Y'all talk too much.
Oh, that's nice. You put Wallace in there? We
did initially. We had Wallace, we had Emmy's husband, and they all left. They fell by the wayside because they're like, y'all talk too much. So, and I get it because Wallace, and my brother-in-law, and I think those were the only two that's ever been in it. They don't have the same dynamics with their siblings that like we have, so it makes sense. But yeah, we do talk a lot and it's always jokes. It's always a good time.
Tell me some of the jokes y'all have, man. Y'all be cracking up.
Listen, everything is a joke. We're very unserious.
But that's what you have siblings for, to be unserious.
Literally.
Wait, y'all made memes?
Yeah, they were making memes about me when I had Alana.
So did y'all use the meme generator? Is that what y'all used?
Yeah, we're just joking. I'll tell a funny story about just the sibling love and how we just, again, not serious. So picture it. It's July in Texas. So just think about the heat, right?
Let's see, 150.
A bajillion. Okay. So here in Massachusetts, it's not that hot. Like it'll get hot, but not crazy. So in Massachusetts, I like to wear my natural deodorant with no chemicals, whatever. It works for Massachusetts. Let me tell you where it doesn't work, Vlad. Texas in July. Okay, so your girl was unfresh. Okay, it was terrible. So I'm in the car.
Robust.
Oh my gosh, I was in the car with my siblings. It was just jokes on jokes. I can't even remember half the jokes, but the shit was hilarious. Okay, so many. We're cracking up. Someone that we were with, they dropped me off, and someone we were with, my siblings were still joking, and I wasn't there. And the person was like, y'all shouldn't talk about Angie if she's not around. And my brother said, I'm going to tell these jokes at her funeral.
Yo,
because that's what you're supposed to do. And do you think I care they were joking? No, because I'm a joke too. And I still talk about that story.
At some point, you were never like, all right, can y'all lay off, man? Because y'all started off by roasting me, but now my butt's a little charred.
No. Because if you dish it, you have to be able to take it. And I'm the number one jokester in this family. Nothing is unserious or serious to me. Everything is funny. Everything's a joke.
So you're the oldest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and you're the least serious?
I am the least serious, I think. You would say, Emmy? It's Jose's unserious. Everybody's unserious.
Everybody's unserious. Yeah. But to the degree of which people are unserious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I've seen you turn it on.
Yeah. I can turn it off and on. My brother can't. He's gonna joke even if you're over here dying in the hospital bed. He was dying in the hospital bed, actually, and he was also joking. So that's how you know.
Oh, word?
He had to have emergency surgery, and he's over here sending us pictures of it. Look at me dead. I'm like, you literally. He made his wife take a picture of him like that, and I'm like, you literally almost died.
I'm not, but I think, listen, if you're a jokester, I'm a jokester, so right? Real quick story. When I was 20. I wasn't even 21 yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was rocking my 2007 Honda Accord. I thought I was hot shit. And I was driving from school and I was listening to my Plan B,
mm-hmm.
and my windows tinted, my windows down. I'm like, oh, I'm the shit. And then I looked down, I was checking my iPod Touch.
Oh, wow.
And I looked down and I look up and traffic stopped. I'm like, oh shit. Boom. I went dead into the back of this pickup truck and I got stuck, Angie, so bad that the dude tried to drive off and he couldn't. He couldn't drive off of my trunk. or off of my roof rather. And so when the paramedics got there, they were like, "Do you need anything? Are you okay?" I'm like, "You have any antidepressants?" They're like, they're trying to do their job and stay serious. Like, oh
my gosh.
But seriously though, do you need anything? Like, yeah, I need a car. I could get one of them. Because look at that.
Give me an extra life because my mom's going to kill me.
Well, here's the funny part. So this car, my mom helped me sign for it, but it was my car. And so my mom was like, "You all right?" She's like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, "Okay, we'll go get that shit fixed." And that was it.
Nice.
Like if my mom was not sweating, she's like, I got your grandmother to worry about. I got bills. I can't worry about you. But that's how my brother and I were raised, though. And outside of the DV and the stuff that was going on at home, making us grow up fast. So we raised by when you raised by Caribbean parents, they ain't gonna really hold your hand through a whole lot. And I'm actually glad that they didn't, because my brother and I are pretty self-sufficient, actually to a fault, right? But given that experience, right, that we have growing up, being raised by Caribbean parents, in your case, at some point in your life in the Caribbean itself, how impactful was it to have any siblings, let alone 5, but how impactful was it for you in your development to who you are today?
Oh, I think it was the most important thing. I talk about that all the time. If I didn't have my siblings, who would I be? I have no idea, which I think is why I was so adamant about I have to get Alana a sibling by any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
I was like, if it's not us having another kid, I was like, I have to adopt another kid so she could grow up in a house. It's coming, another child. No, because I think it's so important. And I specifically think that girls need sisters, birth sisters, sibling sisters, a cousin that, like you said, grows up with them. Just like that sisterhood bond early on is so important. Like, some of my best memories of me and my sisters are just being in our room. We used to share a room, just up all night singing the random songs, and there's like the little chit chat. That's why when the girls are up at night, like cuddling and talking in the bunk bed, I just let it ride. I'm like, they're like going to remember all that.
Now, it must melt your heart then when you started phasing Aria out of the crib and her and Alana was doing the bed.
Yes. And when they cuddle at night, like I shared a bed with my sister. Yeah, we were in a queen size bed together. Then my other siblings had their own beds, but me and her shared. And I think that's probably why we move so much at night, because we've always been in a bed with someone else. We're just like trying to get comfortable. But yeah, so it's like I wanted them to experience that and have that that bond. I talk to Emmy every single day.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Now I gotta ask Emmy for this. Emmy is off camera. Emmy, when Angie talks to you every day, do y'all talking about substantive stuff, or is it just like, you're annoying?
Yeah, it depends what's going on. Yeah. I'm a booster. Oh, you mad? Let's get more mad. You know why? Because you don't deserve that.
No. I can't believe that, because Angie's usually the one who cools me down if we are in a situation and she's not trying to get me to go troop on somebody. She usually calms me down. But it's
because you get cyber mommy. You get mommy mode. I'm trying to calm down my toddlers. I'm trying to calm Vlad down.
Because I'm like, yo, bro, sometimes I'm ready to, you know what I mean?
They get big sis Angie, who's ready to jump on whoever's making them mad. Then I'm mad. We all mad. Let's get mad together.
Wait, so talk about that real quick. What is your role? What's the most important role for you as a big sister?
I'm going to say let's see. I would say either organizer or just like talker. Let's talk it out. Because sometimes I could tell them that they're dead wrong, but most of the time I'm there to validate their feelings, I would say.
So the helper, the validator.
Yes.
And tell them when they dead wrong. Can you recount an experience in which?
No, because it doesn't happen.
All right, so Emmy, you're going to have to help me out with this. Has there been an experience as big sis Ange that she had to put all 5 or 10 of her toes up in one of your asses with nail polish?
Yeah.
Oh, so y'all are the same age on paper for
Yeah, for a few days.
Oh,
on
wow.
paper, we're the same age for 5 days.
That's funny.
Yeah, because I didn't know about it.
So did y'all have the same teachers too?
And yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, early on.
And you were the oldest. So if you're going from 5th grade to 6th grade, and Emmy, you're going into 5th grade, you could share notes and stuff.
Well, not like school notes, because we were pretty much the same in school. We did very well in school. It was more so the social emotional type thing. This is what you might have to worry about. This happens in this grade. Look out for this. Join this program or this club, because I didn't know about it. Now you know about it.
That's
because I was the first one, my parents didn't go to college, so I had to navigate all that paperwork. So I'm like, this is how you do it. My mom was too scared to teach me how to drive. So someone from church taught me how to drive. Then I was like, this is how you do this. So it's kind of like just having those experiences first and then making sure they don't feel like I failed or, things like that. But I'm everybody's biggest cheerleader. I am. You could do basket weave and be like, that's the best basket weave out there. Y'all check out my sister basket weaving out here. Buy her stuff.
Yeah.
That's me.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, it's funny. So I'm actually, out of that sibling group I told you about, I'm the youngest one.
Really good. Like, we're all contributing members of society. Like, we all, do our own thing. We come together. We love each other. But yeah, I love them. I talk about them all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Oh.
All the time. Everything. I'm that annoying person. It's like, oh, my sister too. Oh, I got a sister that does this. Oh, my brother, my sister. Yes, my sister. I got a sister that does this. Oh, I'm redecorating my house. I got a sister that does that.
Yeah, you told me about that because I was like, yo, all the time I'm asking you, I'm like, wait, which sister's the one that does the interior design? Wait, which one is the one? Wait, which one? I'm like, and every time you tell me, I feel like you tell me you have another sister that you ain't tell me about.
No. Exactly. Oh, my kid's doing this. My sister's a kindergarten teacher, and she told me. I'm always throwing some knowledge.
When you're saying it to me, all this stuff is like, yeah. So my sister, who's a realtor, who's also a kindergarten teacher, but who also who's a landlord. I'm like, whoa, time out.
That's a landlady right there.
Wait, time out.
That's right.
I'm like, how many? I'm like, yo. So my best friend, he's one of 7, and I shout out to y'all. I shout out y'all parents first of all, man. I don't think that's a feat feasible by the average family right now in these times is to have, I don't know how people do it with 3, but 6 or 7.
It definitely the times it was easier to have a lot of kids back then. I feel like because there's no way, and I also think it takes special people. Like my mom was put on earth to be a mom. That's like the mom's mom. She does everything. She used to home cook meals every day, like just the whole 9. To a detriment because then I was comparing myself to being that kind of mom, and I think we talked about that in the first episode. And it's like, oh, that's what I have to do to be a mom. But it's like, no. Then what did the therapist say? You are meant to be your kids' moms, and your mom was meant to be your mom. Like, stop trying. You're not your mom. Facts. I can never be.
Facts.
I can never be. But yeah, she did it with a smile on her face. That's what I want to. Yeah. That's not me. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I am my mother's child, as I say. I realized right away I did not want to parent the way that my mom parented. And it's not because it was right or wrong, but I'm like, dude, you just do too much. Yeah. I ain't got the energy for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the dude that I'll get pissed off because there's a little thing on the table. I'm like, yo, a little stain. I'm like, why are people always leaving stuff out? I'm like, oh my God, that's my mom. I need to be quiet. Well, it's funny. So we, as you know, we one and done. Unless there's a miracle and God says, nah, we one and done. And Lito's siblings are like his cousin Trey. They literally like brothers. You seen them? They look like brothers, right?
And that's why I bring the girls over here. And you're like one and done.
Yeah. And
one and done. That's okay.
He gets his fix from them. And we have a saying in this household. And I actually did a video on this the other day. And the question I always get from my mom, because my mom always says, having one child is like not having any children at all. I'm like, yeah, you tell my pocket that. you tell daycare what they charging each week. Okay.
Yeah, one is still a lot.
One is a lot.
One is a lot, especially if you're not used to it,
Well, and we talk a lot about breaking generational patterns of behavior, right? And so our take on it is we're going to have as many children as we have the emotional capacity to have. And if that one child if Lito gets the best of Vlad, the best of Julie, attentive, present, effective, and able to lead, then so be it. But if I know, and if I happen to know this, I mean, you really never know. You got to grow up to the occasion, right? You only do the best that you can. But if I happen to know that having 2 kids or having 3 kids is going to deplete me emotionally, or I'm not going to be able to manage that or have the capacity for that, I'd rather not do that because I'd rather not have my child suffer and have to literally do what we've all done, which is have to undo the Jedi mind tricks and the trauma. I'd rather him have his siblings. And listen, he loves, the other day I was changing his name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're obsessed with each other because anytime we're not even coming to Townsend, but if we hit that, what is it, North Point, North whatever road, it's like, are we going to Lito's house? I'm like, no. We can't be all up in Lito's house every day, okay? But they do love each other. But I would say, Vlad, about just having one kid because you don't want to get emotionally depleted. That's not to say having more than one kid will emotionally deplete you. I think you adjust because what we try to navigate with the 2 girls is giving them their own like space like with each parent alone, just so they're not like fighting for attention type thing. It's just you learn different ways to do things. So it can be done, and we see people do it all the time, even with more than two. To your point, I don't think I can handle. I only got 2 hands, and Wallace be leaving me to go work.
I don't got
So
2 hands.
I only got 2 hands, okay? So I can only have 2 kids. But I think it's doable. It's just you learn how to do it with the multiple kids. But never have more kids than what you can afford. To your point, 2 is a lot.
Well,
1 is.
I like to crunch numbers, not because I was good at math, because I flunked math in 10th grade, because I was giggling too much. I thought it was funny. Me and my boy Callum, shout out Callum, he came here from Australia. He was on the exchange program, and he and we were laughing all the way through class every day.
All the way to that F, you were laughing.
When that F came, I was like, is that F for funny or F for fail?
Yeah, fail.
I thought, you know.
You thought.
Anyway, but listen, I crunch numbers, man. That's how one of the ways I manage my ADHD is by crunching numbers and staying organized. And when I'm doing these numbers and seeing where the money's going and coming out, I'm like, dude, having a kid is expensive, boy. And this is not the 90s anymore where you could get things on the cheap. Things are on the way up. So, but yeah, I mean, I love the fact that Lito has siblings. And like I said, we kind of, like, I had a sibling, obviously, and my cousin Steve and Lisa, they had each other and they had 2 other brothers. But that unique, unconventional experience of growing up with your 2 cousins so close that we're really indistinguishable from siblings. Right? So I think it's all about how, like you said, to your point, I think it's all about how you frame and how you adjust and what you provide. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a great thing to be able to call my man Steve up and be like, hey, yo, bro, can I just have some real talk with you right now? Yeah, but you find yourself kind of shifting through those roles within your sibling relationship. You know, does that happen for you where you find yourself shifting, like, okay, you're not the supporter or what I mean, say the instigator?
Well, yeah, because seasons of life. Like when I was like in the pit of postpartum, I wasn't being a cheerleader for nobody. How could I be? You know, so it just depends. And I feel like siblings, again, if you have that close knit relationship, they pick up on it, and it's like, dang, Angie hasn't called me in 3 days. Let me call her, see what's up. Or Angie's not her goofy, bubbly. She hasn't said a joke in 5 weeks. What's going on? Like, what's going on? So it's like that check in, right? But it's important to cultivate those sibling relationships because your parents, you leave their house, and eventually they will pass on. Your kids, you raise them, they leave. They will leave the nest or whatever. So it's like your siblings are like the only people that are with you from like early on till late in life. You know what I mean? So it's like, keep them close. They know your family history. They know you better than most people because you guys grew up together, have that shared lineage, legacy, you know, everything. So it's important. And I'm just grateful that I have all my siblings.
So on that topic, you're talking about the importance of keeping those sibling relationships whole as you go through the different seasons of life. Let's talk about conflict resolution with siblings. And this is why I want to touch on this, because I think there's and I don't know what the numbers are on this, but I think there's a correlation between how we treat our own siblings and how we view those relationships and how we've seen our parents navigate their sibling relationships. So let me see if I can explain this in the most concise way. So my mom and my dad both grew up in Haiti. They both were one of, I think, at least 7 on each side, right? So they had a lot of siblings. Not all of them lived full lives, but thank you. Yeah, I was like, oh, what's that? So they both had large sibling sets, and they definitely had different relationships with each siblings. But what I've realized that there have been periods of time, and when I say periods of time, I mean there was a good chunk of my life where my mom was beefing with her sisters. My dad was beefing with his brothers. One of the first experiences or stories that I heard in life that made me really, I'd say, think deeply about sibling relationships in a different way was when I found out my dad had 2 brothers that I've never met. One of them I don't know if I told you, I found out my dad had a brother, Eddie. I had an uncle, Eddie. And the only reason why I found out is because my dad and I used to go for walks when I was 10.
Oh, the guy that you randomly say is like, that's your uncle. You're like, what?
Yeah, like, we're at a cemetery, and he's like, I'm just looking for somebody. I'm like, who's somebody? The Undertaker? You looking for Kane? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what are we looking for?
Yeah.
And when he said he had a brother that died, he didn't tell me when he died. I don't think we even found his gravesite. I was like, what the heck happened? So then I had to backtrack. But my father, I could tell, was not about to answer any questions. And that's when I remembered. I went back to my mom because she told me that he had another brother in Haiti who was set up by his friends and was beaten to death. And the only reason why I remember this is because one of the first pictures I saw of my uncle, the only picture I've ever seen of that uncle, was his dead body.
So they took pictures of that?
Haitians take pictures of a lot of things, man. I don't
Oh my
know
God.
why they take pictures of things, but they take pictures of things. If you ever go to a Haitian funeral, one of the first things you'll see is the person in the open casket with the video in their face. Like, when my grandmother died, we did that. I'm like, can we
Yeah.
chill out on that just a little
That's a
bit?
lot. That's a lot.
So I'm seeing these really tumultuous relationships between my parents and their siblings, and that definitely translated into how my brother and I were raised. My dad, he just wasn't, you know, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. Like they'd be together because all my dad and his siblings that were living, at least, all lived in the same house at some point. And then, you know, they'd go seasons. So one would not talk to another. And so my brother and I were a lot alike when we grew up. And I didn't understand why we were so different. But I do know that my father was really trying to divide us and compare us and almost war against us. Like I was my dad's favorite. My brother was like this.
That's probably what was done to him and his siblings, which is why he didn't have a relationship with his brothers. Yeah, I would say maybe, you know what, thinking about that, Vlad, and how you just shared that, maybe that's why the six of us are so close, because my mom, she's the third out of 15 kids, and my dad is the baby out of 6 kids. There's also 4 girls, 2 boys, and my dad.
Wait, tell me, you said 15?
15.
On one side?
On one side, same parents, because my mom has other siblings, but they're out of that 15. My grandpa had kids before he met my grandma. It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of busy work.
It's a lot of there was no TVs in El Campo, okay?
Okay.
So they're there, but they're very close. Like there's a WhatsApp right now. All the brothers, my mom's brothers and sisters, and all the cousins. We're like 55, 54 first cousins, because the 15 of them have all these kids. My mom has 8 kids, 2 with her first husband and the 6 with my dad. But yeah, so there's a lot of kids and they all get along. Like my mom and her siblings, again, have a group chat. They all care for my grandma. And then my dad, he's the baby of 6 and he was the only one that left Cuba during Fidel. And I just remember he always talked to his sisters. We used to house his nieces and
go upstairs, do whatever he's doing, and he'd come back down and play Luigi, and we play together. And eventually it was like, oh, you could take over. Just take over Luigi. Just take over his part. Play his part for me. And then eventually it just stopped.
Yeah.
And you know, it was almost kind of like that relationship, not just to one thing or the other, but to a multitude of things. So my brother and I have worked diligently in the recent years to make sure that we patch that relationship, but also to cultivate it. And so, like I said, my brother calls me. My brother don't call nobody, and that's deep, you know. And I appreciate that, especially seeing how things have played out between my dad and his siblings, and their siblings. One central theme is that they have siblings who have passed away whom they didn't make peace with. Yeah. And that really sticks to me. That stays with me, because I imagine if my brother and I never reconciled and we never had an understanding between us, and even though the relationship doesn't look like other sibling relationships, it's still, that bond is still there. But what if we never really we never cared to do that. And that's a theme I'm seeing reverberate throughout the generations of my family. So I'm really trying to be intentional about, like you said, keeping those relationships whole. And it's not like we haven't had our problems. Like, yo, dude, we're all.
And there's always going to be problems, Vlad, because something could be said and it's taken the wrong way, or your tone, or you're having a bad day. And we all have kids. So it's like the kids are driving me nuts. And then I say something, you know, I'm short on the phone or whatever. And they're having, you know, it's like, it's going to happen because we're human. But it's like verbalizing that, like, hey, when you said this, I felt this, like, what's up? Or are you okay? You're not yourself. What's going on? And trying to get to like the bottom of that, because sometimes we just think it's about me, but it's really not. Like, you don't know what that other person's going through. So yeah, it's very important to keep that, the lines of communication open, because also, and we have some stats and stuff here. It's like this, what is it? The sibling bond is going to outlast your parents' relationships with your kids, because again, they start their own lives. So it's like you see them a little bit less and less. And that's what's supposed to happen. You raise your kids right, they go on to start their own lives and they circle back to you, you know, sometimes, hopefully more than sometimes, but you know, life happens. But those siblings, even spouses, like your siblings have known you way longer than your spouse.
That's true.
You know? It's like, why would you not keep that alive and cultivate that too, you know? Your spouse could just leave you tomorrow, God forbid, but who's going to still be there? Your siblings. Who's going to pick you up when you're down? Your siblings. Very important. And I love Wallace to death, and my siblings love him too. Another thing that's important. Not that if my siblings hated Wallace, I would like second guess it, but I would a little bit, because it's like, how are you not meshing with the relationship that's most important to me at that time?
You're going to hit some nerves with this.
And I don't care.
I want you to hit.
And I don't give a damn.
Let's dance some bachata on that proverbial right now. I want you to talk about how important your siblings' feelings about your spouses are. Does that play a role for you and Wallace?
No, it does. It does. When Wallace started coming around, and Emmy will be an attest to this, Emmy was like, no one's that nice. It wasn't that she didn't.
Yo.
It wasn't that she didn't. Literally.
I love that good old, that's when you just know you from the world and you understand stuff. You're like,
ain't nobody that nice.
What's the catch? Yo?
But it's true, and I was like, dang, well, maybe I need to like check it out a little bit, But Wallace is very genuinely who he is, as we all know. He actually is that nice. He is a junior deacon, okay? He is literally God's gift to the earth, okay? Honestly, that's how I feel. When Angie gets to heaven, it's part because Wallace is my husband. He led me there. He is the priest of my house. He will lead me there. But yeah, like Wallace is genuinely nice. But my sister, being my sister, she was concerned because she's like, shit seems fake. Let me make sure. Like, I'm putting these feelers out there, Angie. No one's that nice. Be on the lookout. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. But yeah.
Was that the code word? Wallace walking the building. Hey, yo, He's like, huh? And Wallace speaks Spanish. He speaks good Spanish.
He does.
So eventually caught on like,
they talk about me. I used to tell my mom el socio, like the associate, and he was like, "Oh, I already know who you talk about."
Damn.
But yeah, so it's like, if my sister, that was like a kind of like check, right? Make sure. But if she would have been like, I saw this. This is what I know. Be careful. Don't do it. 85% of me would have been like, you know what? I need to be careful.
But what if you didn't? What if your sibling? All right, let's say
it's gonna be awkward forever, Vlad.
Let's say Wallace is just not Wallace, not the Wallace Thomas we know.
Yeah.
Sweet dude. That's my dude. That's my homie.
Like a real fake nice person.
Right. Say he wasn't. Maybe he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Maybe he had ulterior motives. Maybe he was controlling. Maybe he had narcissistic tendencies, and you had to hide him well. And your sister Emmy caught on that, and she told you that, and you were like, "Yeah, whatever. That's my dude, though. So I'm gonna love him anyway." What would that have done to your sibling relationship?
It probably wouldn't be what it is today, because if that would have happened and he was controlling, and if I wasn't going, I probably wouldn't have be around as much, which is very weird because before the kids, I was in Florida living up here every 2 to 3 months. I was down there because there was always something going on, and it's easier for one person to go than 8 to come up. Right. So that wouldn't have been happening. My siblings would have been like, yo, Angie's not her usual cheerleader self. Where's the cheerleader at? And I feel like, I honestly believe that they would have come up here to save me. I do. My brother would have come. Emmy would have come. Someone with no kids would have come. Because it's hard when you have kids. So it's like someone with no kids would have come to check on me, stay with me to make sure, kind of like check out the situation and get me out of it if I was in it. I do believe that, because that's happened to, and I'm not gonna do names or anything, but that's happened in our family before where that had to happen, and that's what we did.
So
yep. You have to let people make their mistakes. When shit hit the fans, they'll call you because they know you're there, but you have to go assess the situation for yourself too, so that person that you're sussing out knows that we're not going anywhere. We're there. I don't care what you're saying to her. You might be brainwashing them, but you're not brainwashing me.
It's the long game.
It's the long game. And then what happens ultimately? They find out their eyes are open. Then we have to deal as a family with the repercussions of the situation. But at the end of the day, we're still there. But it just takes longer because y'all don't listen. But guess what? When you listen, it's easier.
So I've learned that lesson myself, having that delicate balance of the siblings I was dating. Now, I know me. What you see is what you get.
Yep.
I have a lot of opinions. I don't always keep them to myself. And when I was learning and growing up in the world, I realized that, damn, Vlad, sometimes you come on a little too hot for the pot. And so one time, man, one of my siblings was dating somebody that I really, really did not care for.
Yeah.
When I said I didn't care for, I'm like, yo, bro, where you find this girl at? Bring her back to where you found her.
Was she crazy?
If you met her at McDonald's, go back to McDonald's.
Was she related to that ex-girlfriend you talked about?
What? Bad. No, maybe. Jeez, Louise. But it's happened. My brother, as far as I know, my blood brother has not dated anybody, as far as I know. Out of the four of us, obviously we've had different relationships, and like, yo, if I didn't like this person, and I'm not even trying to be on some narcissistic tip, God gave everybody a different gift. Some people have the gift of prophecy, like my wife, right? Jules had a dream that my aunt was missing teeth, and the next day she died.
Wow.
And my mom has that same gift. I have the gift of discernment. Like, I can see you, and it's half spiritual, half trauma. So if I can see you from a mile away and be like, yo, bro, I don't mess with you, bro. I don't mess with you.
But to that point, Vlad, okay, so let's say I was in that hypothetical shitty relationship, right? The dynamics of me bringing that person around is going to change the dynamic of the group.
Oh, it is.
why would I do that? Right? So it's like you messing up the flow that already exists and it's going well.
Well, you know why? You know why people do that though? Because at the end of the day, when you have siblings and you love them, and you have somebody else that you love, regardless of what you love about them or what you love for them to be like, you want both worlds to coexist, right? Like you want both your siblings to be happy for you and your spouse to be happy.
To blend into the group. Yes.
What happens if your spouse does not blend in? And what happens?
You got to remove the rotten apple, Vlad. Just kidding. Not kidding.
If they
so hard. Yeah, well, let me tell you why I wasn't happy when Emmy met her husband. It wasn't because of who he was. It was because Emmy was 19 years old wanting to run away and get married. I was like, just wait, girl. Why can't y'all just be boyfriend and girlfriend for a little bit? Then she ran away and got married. Again, not because of... Denny was great. We hung out. He's fine. I just, you think like, oh, someone getting married so young, it's not going to end well. But luckily to report, they've been married 17 years? It'll be 18 years in August because she ran away and got married. I say ran away, but it was literally where we grew up.
Well, clearly, it was far. She ran away far enough.
Far enough, yeah, far enough. But that's the exception, not the rule. Statistically, a lot of marriages that early do break up. So I'm just thinking, like, trying to look out for my sister. It went in one ear, she heard it, and then it went out the other one because she did it. But it's fine. We're happy. We're happy now. But it was a tumultuous time in that early married years.
So then, what made the difference for you?
Seeing that it was working and they were, working it out. Yeah, she wasn't going to listen. So it's like, whatever. And then it's like seeing that it was working. Obviously, Denny was still there. He cares about her. He was doing right by her. So great.
And seeing as you guys are like the same age for, I don't know.
Vlad, I couldn't picture myself being married.
Yeah, listen, you could barely pull rank on that. She's probably like, hey, listen, I ain't got to listen to you. You only came out like 5 minutes early.
Stop.
One of the first things I did when I met my wife was, because she told me straight up, she's like, listen, I'm a triplet. If you're accepting me, it's a whole package. You got to love my sister and my brother.
Right.
I'm like, I ain't got a problem with that. I love everybody. Unless they don't love me, then we're going to love some conflict. But I'm not a person that likes conflict. So, like, you know what I mean? The first sibling I met was...
Was it Kevin?
No. Oh, yeah, no, it was. It was Kevin. So I met Kevin, and instantly he and I had a bromance, man. That's what I do. And... Because I think we both have ADHD. We both love adult animation, like King of the Hill, Simpsons and stuff. Like our lives is King of the Hill and Simpsons references. And bro, we hit it off one day. Me and my wife was spending time when we were dating, and then she's like, I'm gonna meet my brother Kevin. You wanna come? I'm like, yeah, that's my dude. So I didn't know. I thought he was like this old, like the quintessential older sibling. I was like, all right, man, I got it. This dude's gonna be sizing me up. But that's, if you know Kevin, that's
no, he ain't sizing.
That's nobody up. He might put you in tune and make sure that you sing right. But,
right, that's it.
You know what I mean? But clearly the bond between the three of them is deep and special, being that they're multiples. Like, yeah, and I met him, and then I met her sister Beth, and she was not as warm.
Of course not.
She was not as warm. I was like, yo, tough crowd. We met at Margaritas. I was like, hey, Beth and Vlad, nice to meet you. Heard some great things about you. She's like,
Someone has to be that rough person.
How's your day? She's like, why do you care? I'm like, damn.
Dude.
I'm like, yo, this lady. I'm like, yo, why don't she like me? And it's because, my wife, the men that she had dated years prior before me, they didn't have a great relationship. So she'd be protective. And so I wouldn't even really say my siblings are protective of me in that regard. A loved one or somebody you're dating married is in grieving. Do not show up time.
Why you ain't making breakfast for us?
Like you should be calling me madam and
hello. Do y'all need anything in here? It's a little loud. Y'all hungry? Is that why y'all crying?
Yeah, word.
But yeah, so they were dumped as soon as everything was done, because obviously, they were there out of their element.
That's offensive.
Right. But it's like they noticed. I was like, you know what? Not that situations need to happen for you to figure out who people are, but it's like a stressful situation. How are they acting or showing up for you and your family? Because again, you're trying to join this family. How are they acting as part of that family, right? What are they bringing to the table? Are they there for them emotionally? Do they see a need and act on it? It's like, these are like, do you have any brought-upsy? Like, how were you raised that you think that's okay?
Do you have any what?
Brought-upsy, like how are you brought up? How are you brought up?
Yo, brought-upsy.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever heard of that.
I think that's a Trini word. Shout out to Rhea. I think she showed me that one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Do you have brought-upsy now?
Yeah. Please act right.
So let me bring it back to that hypothetical about you and Wall, or even about Emmy and her husband when you first met. So say you were in this relationship and you said, your siblings would roll up on you if things weren't right.
Yes.
in the interim, say it was years before they rolled up on you, or say they didn't roll up on you out of respect for your autonomy. If you could imagine, what would that be like, knowing that you have this close-knit relationship with your siblings, and you're in this relationship where you know your siblings and your partner have beef or they don't get along? Would you try to mend that? Would you leave it alone? Like, what would that be like?
Oh, I would definitely try to mend it. If I knew for a fact that there was no way me and Wallace were separating, like, because I love him flaws and all, those flaws don't bother me. They just bother my siblings. It's like trying to get to the root of, okay, what can we do to make this better? Like, is it Wallace to ease up a little bit and all of us hang out more? Does he need like one-on-one time so they can vibe and see, like, you know, squash the beef that way? Like, what can we do? Do we need to bring a therapist or an outside person to kind of help us, like an unbiased person to kind of help us? But I just don't want that stress every day. And then if kids are involved, like, you know, if I already had the girls and this is happening, if Wallace was that bad and I still decided to have kids with them that bad, definitely bring someone else in. For the kids don't deserve to see that. They deserve aunts and uncles that are in healthy relationships with their parents. That dynamic is there so they can grow up and see those kids, because then it's like they're not hanging out. So now the cousins aren't hanging out. So
tell me this, in that situation, is it more on you as the person who's in the middle between your family of origin, the family you're creating or may create with this person, or does the buck really start with the partner? Like, how much was a partner really got to do if that situation, like say Emmy and Wallace were like in each other's necks, or they just didn't simply get along, and one either didn't seem interested in the other? Is it on Wallace to fix? Is it on her to fix? Like, who's it really on?
I think it's a little bit on everyone. Me as the middle person to kind of initiate it, because they're not gonna kind of tell Wallace, hey, this is very important to me. Emmy, this is very important to me. But they both also have to have that that maturity and that desire to have a relationship with each other, or for the kids, at least get along for the kids, you know. But you have to come around. Like, you can't just say, yeah, we're cool, but then are you really cool because y'all don't see each other?
What would you say if you had this conversation? Well, again, this is not the Wallace.
Right.
Yo, you my homie.
It's so hard because Wallace is so perfect.
Yeah, he really is. Oh, okay. Assuming this is Bizarro Wallace.
Yeah.
This is Evil Wallace we're talking about. Say you came to Evil Wallace and was like, hey, listen, I don't know why, but I've noticed that you and my siblings don't really get along. You and Emmy, you guys, you know, last week at dinner, she threw a plate at your head, you threw a cup. Like, it wasn't cool. Could you, I think you just need to apologize to her, or maybe you just need to have and reach out to her and kind of reach out that olive branch. And what if Evil Wallace was like, nah, the only thing that's important is you and me? What would you say?
I'm still going to go hang out with my sister. You don't have to, but me and the kids are going to go hang out. And you need to see your therapist, because why does she bother you that much?
Would it be so? All right, so if it went to that point, would that be a deal breaker for you in the marriage?
It's tough because marriage is like so concrete important to me, but it'd be very hard to stick around long term for that, because it's like, if you don't care about them even to the most cordial way, do you even care about me? That's me in another body and another person.
Well, especially you and Emmy, that's literally you in another body.
Any of my siblings.
Not much prior.
Right. It's like, but any of my siblings, they're a part of me.
Yeah.
And they were there 18 years before you. So what's up? You know? So it'd be very hard. And I don't honestly know what I would do, but it'd be very tough to stay with someone that can't even be cordial. Cordial to the point where you know that it's important for me, for the kids to hang out, for us to go there, you to come here, whatever, that it bothers you that much. It'd be tough. So that's a tough one, but I don't even know. I'm thankful I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, nah, I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of people end up in that situation. And I guess for me, it's honestly not that hard to get along with people unless you get along with yourself.
You don't gotta hang out every night and go to the movies and kiki at the kitchen table, but at least be friendly enough to be like, hey, you know what? It's important to my spouse that we hang out with their siblings. It's important to my kids to meet their cousins, especially because we live so close. Why not just do it? You're not losing anything. Like, you're literally probably going to gain something if you open up your heart and mind to having that relationship, you know? So that's what that would irk me. Yeah,
I mean, like, you know, it's like they say the sibling bond outlasts other relationships. And I want to make a real quick point because one of the things that we definitely don't do in this house is doom scroll in our minds.
Yeah.
And it's project. So like, something my mom used to always say is remember, don't trust any woman more than Jesus and your mother who gave you birth. But the problem with that obviously then is you go into any relationship waiting for the time to run out. But that being said, I don't think we have to look, or I don't think we should be looking at spousal relationships and sibling relationships is oppositional. If anything, they work in conjunction. Bro, when I was getting ready to propose to Julie, the first person I tapped in with was my brother-in-law. And he wasn't even my brother-in-law yet, but we were brothers. And I said, hey, listen, man, I need you to help me. And I love you, Kevin. I know you're watching this. You're probably going to be rolling your eyes because I'm still giving you a difficult time about this, but you're my brother. I told him, like, listen, I'm getting this ring. I'm getting it custom made because, Julie's a hard person to surprise. And I'll be able to. So I'm like, all right, just this is between you and me. And of course, we went out and spent some time when her grandmother died. And I don't know who Kevin told, but everyone was seeing when they were hugging us goodbye, they were saying to my wife, see you soon. And I was like, yikes. Come on, dog. One day we were at the house and then he pulled me aside like, oh, just so you know, Beth knows now. I'm like, yo, bro, who you gonna tell? You gonna tell the priest too? Do you know who the priest I'm getting married to? Because I could get a jump on his paperwork.
Oh my goodness.
But yo, the fact that I could tap in with him, or if something's going on with Julie and I need help, I can tap in with. But that's an advantage.
It's another resource.
Yeah.
It's like, I love this person so much. I'm willingly and able, and why wouldn't I have a relationship with the people closest to them? So whenever she needs something, I need something, I know where I can go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that hard. At the bare minimum, y'all, all you got to do is acknowledge
the importance of the relationship.
Acknowledge them. You know what I mean? Like, just acknowledge the importance of those relationships. And for better or for worse, I would not be the man that I am without my brother, my two cousins, and not to say that my other cousins aren't important, but these two cousins, Stephen, Lisa, and Serge and I, we have an experience that nobody else in our family can really replicate.
Lisa and her boys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel bad because you talking about every girl needs a sister. We don't have we man heavy on this side of the family, man. We ain't got a lot of girls. Although my cousin had 2 girls on my dad's side, but yeah, you got to acknowledge those experiences that came before you. And bro, it's never going to be perfect. You and I know that. And yeah, sometimes, your in-laws might not be. People always talking about how in-laws, like the relationship between you and your parent-in-laws, I'm like, oh, I gotta go hang out with my mother-in-law, or I gotta hang out with my in-laws. I'm like, yo, bro, I love my in-laws. They're cool as hell,
Yeah. No, yeah, I wouldn't be who I am without the 5 of them. And you know what? I have other siblings, but I talk about them because we grew up in the same house, the 5 of us. But shout out to my brother Frank. He always says that he wishes he had siblings like us growing up. I get it. We are kind of cool. And then my mom's 2 sons, they're good in their own right, but it's different because we didn't grow up together. But yeah, I love them.
So, all right. So in closing, let's do this. What is your vision for your children as siblings, and what do you hope that they do with their kids?
Oh my goodness. No, I hope the girls build and expand their relationship. It's really cute right now. And they fight as sisters do. We used to brawl out, me and my sisters too, when we were all living together. But I think it took us moving away to see like, dang, we ain't never gonna get that time back, Yeah. So I hope that they stay sisters forever. Sisters forever. And they grow up, and if they decide to have kids, that their kids are close. And the same thing with all my nieces and nephews, for all of them to grow up as close as we were. And yeah, just to keep tight knit.
Keep tight knit. I mean, you really can't put it any better than that. I'm hoping that, and Lito's got his sisters for life, his primas sisters, whatever you want to call them. And he's got his cousin Trey. And he's got his other 2 cousins too. And like I said, sibling, whether the blood is direct or running through another filter, I think that it's important to accentuate and to promote those relationships, because when our children are your and I's age or a little younger, and they got an opportunity to make decisions about the relationships or the trajectory of their lives, they're going to be leaning on those relationships a lot.
Yeah, they'll keep hanging out.